back, guys and girls, to the channel. Today we are working on Scout, my 1974 Toyota Land Cruiser, affectionately called Scout by one of my good friends, Tony, because he knows how much I love international trucks. So today we are going to be working on this thing. We're taking a little break from the mountain bike stuff. This channel will be back and forth on that, but you can kind of see right there a little bit of the bike. We'll throw a quick little bitty snapshot of the color combo. You can get to see a little bit there. I'm hoping to bring that to you guys, the final build up of this bike, the next episode of this channel. The thing is, I'm waiting on one small part that's keeping me from finishing this bike off. That video is almost done being filmed, but we got some footage of work I've done on this. Those wheel tubs we made about 3 episodes ago, they still need their shape, the corrugations put into them. So that is the plan. I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that. We'll do a little overlay here of what it looks like. And if you like what you see, we will be able to make those with minimal tools, something you guys can do at home on your fabrication projects. I saw it done on Make It Custom. It worked for me. We did the whole bed floor the same way. We'll show you how to do this on a smaller scale now. It's been a while since we've featured that type of work. So we'll get into this. We'll have some fun. We'll get this done. And let's roll. So I've done some measuring here. These are all the same. So between the two ribbing, this is the drawing here, ribbing and ribbing, and then we got the back corner edging and edging. So these are all 1 2/8 inches wide, and the length is 8 3/4, and then the width is 4 5/8 between the two, but the last one is 4 2/8. So we got a 1 inch spacing to the edge of the panel and a 1 3/8 inch spacing to the outer edge. So there's roll bar mount holes that need to be put into this panel here. They're gonna go in there on both sides, and there's also soft top bar mounts which are gonna go here, and they all have to have weld nuts put on them. So I've laid this template on here for the bolt hole locations, and you can see there I've colored them in. So I gotta drill those out, but I think I want to test the roll bar in here to make sure it actually lines up with these holes. And there's something critical here. It's gotta sit exactly centered on this rib, because there's an indent there, and it's got to be centered on these guys here, so it sits between on the roll cage feet. So roll bar is in, not bolted. Everything fits almost. This side all fits good. You can see the Sharpie marks. I can drill those holes. That corner fits. We've had an accident here, we know that. We've talked about it. But look at the bar, guys. It's a little crooked versus this side that's lined up. And look at the pad here. So it's been tweaked from being hit in this corner. I think what's happened is it somehow got pushed funny. I'll be able to make this work yet. I just have to figure out how, but I want to go with the factory holes. And the part where these two line up, and this is exactly the same, and the width is right here, I know I can put the holes here, and then we'll just have to do a little tweaking on this bar till it becomes happy in there. So I'm in the middle of making the wooden bucks. You can see them behind me here. Let's take a look at what we got. I'm working off the measurements we have. So this is what I'm working with. I'm using a hole saw. I think it was 1 3/8 inch. That's where we're at for these. Let's double check. Okay, 1 3/8 inch, but these are 1 2/8. It's close enough for this application. I think that's the one I could get at the hardware store. So I'll hole saw these out. I'm going to probably use a jigsaw to cut these lines because my skill saw down there is too big. I've transferred the holes to this. We'll hole saw these out as well. And then these two overlap each other like that. This edge will sit up against the quarter panel. We'll screw it together on the truck, on the wheel tubs like we did to make the floor, and then we'll hammer through there. So I gotta finish cutting these out now. All the hammer forming bucks are made. I'm doing it a little different than we did the bed floor. So this one here, we'll just throw it in kind of where it's gonna go. It'll go up here, and these ribs are marked, each one where they're gonna go. So it'll go over there. This one here is a little small one. It only does 2. You can see it kind of goes with that one, right up front, right there. And then we have the side ones. They're gonna go over there. So, time to disassemble. Time to put those ribs in. So we got the 3 different hammer forming bucks made here, and I showed them to you. The next step is I'm gonna pull the wheel tubs out of here and start doing the hammer forming on them. So all the screws gotta come out. They'll come loose. I'll probably mark where they went so I know where to put all my plug welding holes. I'll do that at the same time. But I think we'll get them hammer formed, and then we'll probably call that an episode. And hopefully next time we'll be welding all this stuff in. There's some priming I need to do on some of this stuff, and we're underway. So it's time to pull this stuff apart. So while I was taking this apart, I think I'll do one side at a time, just so I don't have the parts lying around in the shop. But yeah, good plan. I'm gonna drill some plug weld holes now. You've seen it before, so we'll skip that step. But they're gonna go in the quarter panel and in there. And my plan is to weld from the outside of the quarter to hold the top of the wheel tub on. Be a lot easier to grind, I'm thinking. I installed the first one, and it's only going to do 2 indents, and it's the front one of the sides, one on each piece. But it is very important that the shape gets hammered in from the back side, not the side where I've drawn all my measurements on, because you want the embossing to come out, so it'll take the shape of factory, because this is a piece here that we're going for right now. So I just finished running the air hammer through this guy with the hammer bit on it. We'll see that in a bit, but let's take this off. Got the last bolt here. Think we got the right size of indentation here even. That'll be awesome. So you can see right here up close what we got, and each one of these now is going to get one. So we'll go through the setup on the next one and we'll work our way through it. And that's what I was getting at. you got to have the embossing come from the back side so you can have it on the correct side where it's poking up through it. So this is the second of 3 hammer forming bucks. I'm going to disassemble it and then we're going to put it on there. So the next thing is I've got them separated, and I've written on each corner. I'm not sure how much you'll be able to see, so I know which corners stick together when I assemble this thing. So the other thing I want to do is add some boards underneath to give me a flat working height. What would help is having some clamps, but I couldn't find my clamps at the moment, so I gotta try and get this squared up without that. But I'm gonna basically, I'll have, this is the outline, here is the rectangle. I'm gonna put it on here, and it's labeled bottom here, so I know which way it goes down. And I'm gonna get squared up. So I'll close up on that. You can see my rectangle in there. Get it centered. Now I'm ready to drill it down in that spot. You won't see me in the video here, but I wanted you to get to see a bit of a close-up here of inside what's happening. I can't really get the camera above any more than that, but I think this will work. So I have 2 hammer forming bits. You can see this one's crowned, this one's flat with a bit of a bevel. I'm finding I go this one first, and it kind of digs it in, gets the shape. This one smooths it all out. So let's load up the gun. So you should note this uses a lot of air in the air, and it will run the compressor a bunch, and if it runs down too much, this process takes a lot longer. So have a look in there. You can see there's not quite even indentations in there. That's where we get into this bit here. We're gonna run it in there now, and they'll smooth it right out. Well, there it is. That's how I'm going to be doing all of these. These holes will have to get welded up. It's nothing that serious. This is what you'll see from in the cab of the truck. So, we're going to do all the rest of them. I'll show you when it's done. The other thing, I think we're probably not going to go and watch each individual one being formed because you've seen one, they're all the same. Alright, so as promised, I was going to show you when I was done the one piece here. It's done, and I'm very happy with it. Got to weld up the holes yet, just like we did in the last episode when we did the floorboards for the back bed floor. But I'm very happy with this. Got both sides there.
With the bed liner on there, it'll cover it very nice. I think I might go over with a hammer and just straighten out a couple of these just to bring it down to level. They just pulled in just a little bit because we're so close to the edge there. But yeah, very happy with it. The other thing I learned is with such a small edge here, it wanted to split, which it did a little bit. It still held its shape enough to do this, but it works. So lesson learned, what to change next time. So I have a bit of a scenario going on here, something I knew part of and the other part kind of I didn't quite realize. Nothing too serious. So what we're gonna have to do is build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ribbing on both of these. Then this piece will get modified to take a curve. So I gotta curve this, but I wanted to keep this edge straight. So the idea was to hammer form these on both at the end. But then I finished this and I was about to come around here. This is the curve. This is where the next rib falls, exactly where Toyota put it. And here's the other one. So the thing is, from the back side, if you look at it here, this much hangs over when you're lined up here. So I'm gonna have to hammer form this after I do the curve, which means probably cutting it down to here. And now this is gonna get really thin, it's probably gonna crack. So I'll have to add a backing plate on that. So then we'll do both of those with the cut down piece. The next thing is to put this on here. You can see it's got a flange, it's got to fit in. So we'll have to make, then at that point, cut the other side of it off so it'll get really narrow. So we'll definitely have to have a backing plate, crossing our fingers that we can get it to still take a form, because I need this to be in here, unless potentially I just move it up a bit. That might not actually be a problem. It won't be fully factory, but if I move the factory one, you can see where it sits. But if I move it up just enough so that we can kind of get a little bit of a wider gap, there's nothing that bolts there on both sides. So it might actually be a stronger piece here. Something I'll have to contemplate. So now I am going to unscrew all of this, pull it out, hammer form the side, then the top 5 ribs. Is it 5? Yeah, 5 ribs. Then we'll do the both backs, and then we'll work on getting something out on the front. All right, guys, girls, I've made all these panels. They're getting close. There's a few things left. Each of the tops needs the back done, so we have to change the wood pieces. And then the fronts I have to do yet. But everything else is done. We're almost up to welding those holes shut, welding in weld nuts. And then everything comes out, I prime, and we weld it into place. I've got all the ribbing done. It was a bit of a long haul, but it feels good. So there's the next step that happens here. We gotta weld up all the holes. I also gotta put some weld nuts in here. Yeah, so I'll get that done. Then we'll get these guys installed, I think, or at least mocked up. Because after that, I gotta drill the holes for the roll bar before they rub off. You see, I got this little gas tank cover one that I have to get the proper location on. But welding's kind of made a little easier with this piece of copper or brass. I can't remember what it was. You hold it behind on the back side of the holes underneath here, and you weld them full, and then you grind them down. All right, guys and girls, you got to check this out. Everything is screwed in place. I think we're getting pretty close to the end of this episode, but let's check this out. So here it is. These are all screwed into place, and I think we'll call it here. This all has to be welded in. That'll be happening next time. And I think we'll also next time we'll test fit the roll bar one more time and drill the holes out so we know it sits square before that Sharpie gets removed with grinding. And that'll all be done a little bit differently on the mounting part of it too. I want to tie it into the frame rails. So yeah, one last look here.
Well, guys and girls, that's it for this episode. We got all those inner wheel tubs formed. You've seen everything screwed into place there. I think next episode we'll be welding this in place. I kind of got myself a 2-week deadline at this point. That might look different once I've edited videos, and you might have a 3-week in between. I don't know. We got welding. We'll get the roll bar fitted, and so be it. So, get in your shop, guys and girls, and get your stuff done, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.